November 2022. 1.5 million fans descend on Qatar for the World Cup. Before the opening whistle, intelligence analysts issue a stark warning. This tournament is a target-rich environment for state-backed cyber espionage from China, Iran, and potentially Russia. What none of them yet knew was that a hacking group linked to Beijing had already been living inside a major Qatari telecom provider for 6 months, undetected and waiting. Recorded Future's November 2022 threat assessment reframed the World Cup as something far more than a sporting spectacle. Their analysts described Qatar as a target-rich environment where the convergence of global powers, United States, Europe, China, and Iran, created a rare stage for intelligence collection. The numbers alone were staggering. Around 1.5 million foreign visitors, dozens of heads of state, senior officials, and corporate delegations all packed into a compact, hyper-connected city-state. For state-backed cyber actors, this was a unique opportunity. The report warned that advanced persistent threat groups would likely pursue espionage against diplomats, business leaders, and critical infrastructure. While Recorded Future found no evidence of imminent destructive attacks, they made clear that the sheer density of high-value targets turned the event into an intelligence test bed. The World Cup's broadcast infrastructure, worth billions in media rights, and the presence of strategic partners from rival nations meant that any breach could have consequences far beyond the stadiums. This was not a conventional security story. Instead, the tournament became a real-time experiment in how digital threats intersect with geopolitics, with the risk that a single undetected intrusion could ripple across borders and industries. The investigation would hinge on a single question: would the gap between plausible danger and actual exposure ever be closed, or would the world only learn how close it came after the final whistle? China's approach to the World Cup was shaped by long-term intelligence goals. Security analysts traced activity from groups like APT-41 and BlackTech, both tied to Chinese state interests. Their methods focused on gaining access to networks used by diplomats, media, and commercial partners, not on causing chaos. This meant targeting telecom infrastructure, harvesting credentials, and quietly mapping the flow of sensitive data. The aim was persistent access, inside information that could be used for leverage or future influence. Iran's cyber operations, by contrast, reflected its regional priorities. Iranian-linked groups such as APT-33 and APT-34 concentrated on surveillance and monitoring of travel, communications, and logistics around the event. Their campaigns were designed to collect intelligence on rival delegations and to strengthen Iran's position in Gulf affairs. Both states treated the tournament as a rare opportunity for collection, not destruction. The real risk lay in the silent accumulation of intelligence, not in a headline-grabbing attack. This distinction set the tone for the digital battlefield in Qatar, a contest of access and observation, where the most damaging moves might never be seen. Russia's reputation in cyber conflict is built on disruption, not quiet observation. Intelligence analysts entered the World Cup on alert, recalling the 2018 Olympic destroyer attack, where Russian malware sabotaged the Pyeongchang Winter Games opening ceremony. That operation wiped systems, crashed Wi-Fi, and left organizers scrambling in the dark. In 2022, Russia faced a different reality. Its exclusion from the tournament after the invasion of Ukraine, combined with the demands of an ongoing war, meant resources were stretched thin. Still, the threat of retaliation hung over the event. Western security briefings noted that Russian cyber units, especially those linked to GRU, had the tradecraft to launch headline-grabbing attacks, including ransomware, data wipes, and broadcast outages, if the political calculus shifted. Defenders in Qatar weighed the possibility that the most dangerous move might not be the loudest one. Even a minor disruption, well-timed, could have triggered panic across the digital backbone of the World Cup. The risk profile was different from espionage. It was about the potential for chaos and the uncertainty of a wild card actor with a history of targeting global spectacles. Every visitor to the 2022 World Cup encountered a digital checkpoint before ever reaching the stadium gates. Two apps, Haya and Audit, were not optional. Haya managed entry, transport, and fan identity, while Audit tracked health and vaccination status. But these tools did more than organize crowds. European data protection authorities sounded alarms about how much access the apps demanded. Germany's Federal Privacy Office noted that Haya recorded call metadata, who fans contacted, when they called, and for how long. France's CNIL flagged the app's ability to access photos and videos, and even to place calls without warning. Norway's Datatilsynet called the permissions excessive and issued a rare directive. Travelers should use burner phones, install the apps only if forced, and delete them before leaving Qatar. The warnings were stark. Official guidance from multiple European countries urged fans to keep their primary devices off the grid, underscoring a level of distrust rarely seen at a global event. The app's reach extended far beyond what was needed for crowd management or health checks. They blurred the line between event logistics and digital surveillance, setting a precedent that compliance with host nation requirements could mean exposure to mass data collection. For millions of people, the price of entry was the surrender of privacy, an invisible cost that lingered long after the final match. 6 months before the first whistle, an intrusion quietly took root inside the network of a major Qatari telecommunications provider. The attackers, later traced to the China-linked group BlackTech, bypassed surface defenses and landed deep in the system that mattered most. The configuration backbone, controlling the routers and switches that carried every call, every broadcast, every live stream of the World Cup. This wasn't a simple breach of email or user accounts. The attackers gained access to the core database that dictated how network traffic moved across the country. With this foothold, they could have altered routing tables, shut down interfaces, or rerouted entire segments of data, effectively holding the keys to stadium feeds, media uplinks, and emergency communications. The access remained invisible for months. Throughout the tournament, as millions watched and billions of dollars in broadcast rights hung in the balance, BlackTech's presence went undetected. No alarms tripped. No outages betrayed their position. The capability was chilling in its simplicity. A single command could have cut the flow of live video, dropped phone calls, or triggered a cascade of failures across the digital backbone of the event. The economic stakes were enormous. A successful disruption would have put hundreds of millions of dollars at risk, lost ad revenue, penalty clauses, and a global reputation crisis for both Qatar and FIFA. Discovery came only after the final match, during a post-event audit by NetWitness. Their analysts pored over log files and configuration changes, piecing together the timeline of the breach. Stefano Macalia, the incident response lead, summed up the reality with a single line. The threat actor literally had their finger on the button, but didn't push it. The breach had been real, the risk all too close. The World Cup's digital heart had survived, but only because the final command was never sent. Scams and cyber fraud swarmed the World Cup long before the first whistle. Over 170 spoofed domains mimicked official FIFA and Qatar 2022 sites, each one a trap for fans looking to buy tickets or stream matches. In the app stores, 53 malicious mobile apps promised live scores or ticket access, but delivered credential theft and payment card skimmers instead. Social media became a marketplace for counterfeit tickets and fake merchandise, with dozens of fraudulent pages vanishing as soon as victims paid. These scams worked because global excitement drowned out caution. Phishing kits and adware loaders spread quickly, exploiting the tournament's scale and the trust fans placed in anything branded with the World Cup logo. Opportunistic criminals, not government-backed hackers, drove most of this activity, motivated by quick profits, not intelligence collection. Meanwhile, hacktivist groups like Anonymous flooded Twitter with threats and calls for political action, targeting FIFA with DDoS warnings and claims of payment system defacement. Their campaigns generated noise, but left no technical mark. For ordinary fans, the digital threat wasn't espionage. It was the risk of being conned, scraped, or locked out of their own accounts by criminals hiding behind the spectacle. Major sporting events now demand a new standard of digital vigilance. The World Cup in Qatar demonstrated that any global tournament functions as an intelligence magnet, drawing the attention of state-backed cyber groups and opportunistic criminals alike. Mandatory host apps, once justified as logistical tools, can set a precedent for mass surveillance, especially when permissions reach far beyond what is needed for event management. For future hosts, independent security audits of all event-specific apps must become non-negotiable. Red team testing of telecom and broadcast infrastructure should be routine, not exceptional, before the first fans arrive. Organizers need to provide travelers with clear digital hygiene guidance, including burner phone protocols and explicit app removal schedules. Data collection must be limited to what is strictly necessary, with transparent retention and consent standards. The Qatar experience now serves as a baseline, and every future tournament will be measured against these lessons. Security planning must begin long before the opening ceremony. Today, global tournaments are covert cyber battlegrounds. Mandatory apps turn fans into data points. BlackTech's silent breach proved the stakes. The threat actor literally had their finger on the button but didn't push it. The game isn't just on the field, it's inside every network. Stay vigilant.